forward on a final end scorer. Like, it's very Top Gear.
Dude, this is incredible. He uploads the same video twice.
Yeah.
He gets one with his ugly friend that's just like, and it's Mildred's birthday.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
Yeah.
and that gets like 37,000.
Yeah.
And then he uploads the same one with literally 5 seconds of him walking into a room with a hot chick, 800,000. Look, it's the same video. It's just an undeniably hot chick that you can only get from extreme wealth.
And that gets 800,000.
Yeah, it's just like, let's go. And then it's just like, hello, welcome back to Schooner.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, we're on. By the way, that video, Jordan, you know what happens? It's like, one schooner, please. And he goes, it's only wine here, you twat. And it's like, let's get out of here.
Higher mix in terms of international students to domestic students, which changes the dynamic.
All right, we're on.
Campus.
Can we watch it from the beginning, or?
Sure that we can get Australian kids into housing as
dude.
quickly as possible.
Do you like him?
We
I'm
can't
so
do that
jealous
because
Of
obviously
one sip, one schooner.
50 million people
Just-
here over 2 years.
Look at this man's life.
I know.
It's just going around Spain with a bunch of hot chicks being like,
I know.
like, hello, I'm the biggest dickhead in the world.
Yeah.
And also, I've got no muscle structure whatsoever. None. Absolutely
Yeah.
none. It's all bone. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. And I am the richest, happiest man alive.
Yeah. I genuinely do like my life. And I've
came-
never really thought that anybody can't just go on a jet ski on a Tuesday.
He came to Australia.
Jordan, where are your headphones?
So
Should I play it from the
Wow.
beginning?
Schooner man in my hometown.
Should I play it from the beginning?
Yeah, play from the beginning. Yeah, look at all these. Oh my God. The fate of the nation is at stake. Now, Graham weighs in. It's so good. I love it. I love it when you just see the average Australian ask their stupid question.
Why is it on Sky News?
And why is Sky News' website or whatever this is so shit?
Dude, they should have done it live on One Sip, One Schooner.
That would have been amazing.
Just the whole time.
So what do you think about it? Yeah, fruity. What do you think about it, Dutton? It's not that fruity. Okay, you had a... Maybe, one day that will happen. One day they will televise a debate on One Sip, One
Can
Schooner.
someone make Sky News less shit?
Schooners. Dude,
It's not letting me go all the way back.
All right, just play from here.
fuck it.
His voice. Is it playing?
Yes.
Housing to accommodate
Oh.
them. So we need to get the sequencing right, and it's why we're putting $5 billion into...
Can people tell us if they can hear it fine?
1,000 new homes.
Let's hear from Mr. Albanese.
Thanks very much, Kieran.
Extremely
Everyone here knows that after COVID finished,
One
when the
sip,
borders were
one
up,
Schooner.
Australians from the community over here
Dude,
in
honestly,
Waterford
anything
couldn't
British
actually
people
come
do, I'm
home
like,
because
yeah,
they
right,
were
I'm in.
barred from that you were going to get
Same.
an uplift. Truth is, the population today is lower than what was anticipated in 2019 it was going to be. The migration levels fell in the last year by 31%.
Damn,
in
dude.
one level. We introduced legislation to put a cap on student numbers. The coalition and the
That's
Greens
full
voted
volume.
against
It's
it in the
good.
Senate,
They're
so it
saying
couldn't
it's
get through. We want a reasonable cap that protects the universities because their funding levels is connected with this. That makes sure though that we get that balance right. And on housing, we've got a $33 billion Homes for Australia plan that has seen, in part, we have 28,000 social housing units either under construction or in planning as we speak right today. There's been 400,000 homes built, homes or units built since we came to office. We've got a target of 1.2 million. We do need to do more to build housing.
Damn. Billion, I thought.
1.2 billion.
I was like, damn, we all get free houses, baby.
Yeah.
Damn.
But
How many
unfortunately,
free houses do we get?
Labor lying
20?
again.
Anything for a vote,
He
how about?
corrected himself.
But
Hey, why don't
You've
you
always
keep
got to
this?
ruin our fun, Miss Love.
Jordan, keep this. Hit the space bar every time you want to
Yeah,
pause to make
yeah.
a comment, okay?
Okay.
I can't
Send it this way,
move
boy.
anymore. I'm too...
So am I.
There you go.
Just hit space bar.
I just want to watch Schooner instead.
Yeah, me too. But, you know, we've got a job to do.
Didn't even have a housing minister for some of the time that they were in office.
I know, speaking to a number of the audience before we started,
Look at it.
cost of living is a
Look, this is
big issue.
pathetic. There's like 50
Retirement home.
people there.
A few nods in the audience.
It's a
Can I just get show
retirement
of
home.
hands? Who's doing it
Taff.
tough? Who's
Taff.
finding it hard to get
Who's doing it taff?
at the moment, the way the
The
I'm poor.
undecideds.
precious
I'm broke. My
Sorry, I
parents
should've
hate me.
few hands there.
Damn.
And, we know that I'm
This
not
is an
saying
RSL.
anything there, but
Is an
I
RSL.
guess it raises the question, PM, you did the tax cuts. Why not the fuel excise as well? Why not throw everything at that issue?
The fuel excise will disappear in a year, like the last time it happened, the 2022 election. This is from the Scott Morrison playbook. It came in for a year. What we want is things that are permanent. So our tax cuts will be permanent. Free TAFE will be permanent. Taking 20% of student debt will be permanent. The reducing of medicines down to $25. The same costs that they were in 2004 will be a long-term difference. And we've frozen the cost for pensioners to just $7.70 for...
Isn't it incredible? I can't remember the last time that there was a debate
Yeah.
where the government could say, we have done these things.
And they can chuck out numbers.
Remember that? Yeah.
Checking out numbers.
They can actually chuck out numbers and figures and say, this is how we have practically improved your
Yeah.
life.
Wait, why do you think excise is worse than income? Why do you think Peter Dutton giving like discounted fuel is better than income tax?
Oh, he was just explaining it before. It's just like every time the Liberals always pull this out. Yeah, we're going to drop the fuel excise. And then immediately they just raise their prices. So it doesn't do anything. It's just that they know that the consumer will pay that much, and so they charge that much.
Yeah, and it literally burns away in seconds.
Doesn't it?
the rest of the decade. So we understand cost of living pressures. That's why we've introduced as well energy rebates. All of these measures we've done, cheaper childcare, but all of them have been opposed by the coalition. We have put in place what we can to make a positive difference. We know that there's more to do, and that's why we want to do it.
Mr.
Isn't it incredible that if this was the American debate right now, it would just have Donald Trump sitting on the other side being like, that's not true, that's a lie,
Yeah.
he's not talking.
I know,
I can't
wrong.
believe you should wrong.
A man without eyebrows should be a man with no words.
Yeah. So you think, hey, you're very ugly, you really should maybe draw some eyebrows
No,
on or
dude,
something.
he's not. He doesn't even just call you ugly. He calls your wife ugly.
yeah,
His wife's ugly as a dog.
Not a 10.
Yeah, I'm patriotic right now.
My wife is a
Other way
10.
around, you announced the reduction
She's not.
of fuel excise. Why not do the tax cuts as well? That's what people expect of Liberal Party leaders, don't they?
Well, Kieran, a couple of points. Firstly, I think that was a very confronting scene, if I might say, from where we're standing, to see the number of hands raised then of people who are working hard,
Damn.
people who are
Dutton
Empathy.
knows how to
everything they
empathise.
can,
Empathy,
not just to
Dutton.
cut back on expenses and just to try and make things balanced at the end of each week or the end of each fortnight or month. And as I said in my opening remarks, I think it's reflective of the broader population in Australia at the moment.
Don't you think that guy should have never have entered politics and should have only ever been on your television as the Queensland Police Commissioner?
Nah, he should
He's got
just
the
be.
right voice for
Dude,
it.
not even
and
the commissioner. He
face.
should have just. Did you know you were going 20 k's off speed limit?
Him?
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
the-
think he's good enough to sit there and say, homicide will not be tolerated in Queensland?
Yeah, that's a good
dude.
impersonation.
All right, give it. Come on, do it. Do your sincere
all right.
impression before we continue on. Go on.
This country is going through a very, very serious time, and for that serious time, Albo must go away.
It's not. Ali, over the years, has gotten better at impressions.
Nah,
Right.
that sucked.
That
No,
wasn't.
well,
that-
look, you never had it, Ali, but like over the
And
years.
you never will.
And let's be perfectly frank here. Face it, Ali. But
right.
you're getting way better. Go on.
I would personally like to hear the input of one sip, one schooners to see the level of fruitiness of that particular beer. Yes, he seems to like it. Well, if he likes it, it's good enough for me because he's English and that's it. That is our history, and you can't deny it. It cannot be denied.
Look, as always, Mislove does this thing where he inhabits the face of Peter Dutton perfectly, which I do like that addition. You add much more fear to his voice than I have. He's quite a scared Peter Dutton.
that is a
Looking
scare.
at the polls. Oh no. My shot.
If Peter Dutton wins, Miss Love has to be the Peter Dutton.
What do you mean?
You've already got like half to look for. We just have to
Yeah.
shave your
We gotta
eyebrows and
shave you.
beard.
It's just all of it.
And bring your glasses. That's it. You're done.
And then what? I just full-time impersonate him?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll be the Alec Baldwin of Friendly
Peter
Geordies.
Okay, fair enough.
He just sounds like such a cop, doesn't he?
We've had as we've moved around the country. People in tears, people who have taken their kids out of school, people who have stopped a doctor's appointment because they can't afford to pay to go to see the doctor under this government. Bulk billing rates have come down dramatically under this government. So I think we
That's
What
a
did he
good
say?
thing. He said bulk billing has come.
Dude, he's
down
having a Biden
dramatically.
moment. He's like, and we beat Medicare.
He did a we beat Medicare. He did a we beat
Damn.
Medicare.
Shit.
Whoa, what a Freudian
are
slip.
doing everything we can to provide support, but we need to do it in a way that is not inflationary, because with 12 interest rate rises, the worst thing that we could have is a big Labor Greens spending government after the election, because that will be upward pressure again on interest rates, which will be a disaster for families, particularly with big mortgages. So our argument is that we want to provide support immediately through the 25 cent a litre reduction, and that is part of the tax that people are paying in their household budgets. That, yes, there's income tax, but equally the fuel tax is 50 cents in every litre, and we're reducing that down to 25 cents a litre. We do it for 12 months.
Damn, that Chinese man likes that.
And also, dude, he's fattening the pig.
Yeah.
He's straight up fattening. Okay, so I heard a very good saying by John Howard where he says, you can't fatten the pig on market day, which essentially implies that you can't really bring out policies during the election campaign. You're bound to lose.
Right.
That's what he's doing. He's fattening the pig.
It's really weird, isn't it? You'd think that John Howard would be endlessly giving the Liberal Party advice.
No, he wasn't saying this in context. I'm just putting it on.
Oh, you're putting it
Dutton.
on there. Okay.
He just said it generally as just a rule of politics.
I do
Dude,
very
all he
much
says-
like listening to Howard's rules of politics. Don't you think every time
Dude,
you're
he
like,
does two
"Dude,
things
that guy
now."
knows what's up.
He does two things now.
I got
What?
enough in the back seat of fucking Lazarus Rising. I don't need any more than that.
That was... I can't remember what... There was something really funny about that, and I can't
I
remember.
farted.
That was amazing. Yeah, you were asleep.
Yeah.
You were asleep.
Trying to fucking sleep.
Making about $7.5 billion every year of recurrent expenses. Why Labor always builds up a structural spend in the budget, which ultimately contributes to their $1.2 trillion of debt. And that's what makes it harder, because the interest bill just continues to grow, and we should be spending that money on helping families and hospitals and services otherwise in the economy.
Let's hear from our next voter. This
He
is-
means families of CEOs, just so you
I'm
know.
from just around here, from Tingabi. I direct my question to both of you. I have
Tingabi.
many loved ones affected by the current genocide in Gaza carried out by the Israeli government at the moment. Our taxes are going towards the funding of weaponry, aiding the onslaught on the innocent people of Gaza. What are you doing to stop this, Prime Minister and Opposition Leader? What will you do about this if you are elected?
Prime Minister, first to you.
Well, thank you very much for the question, and I certainly understand that for many Australians, or particularly those with families or relatives either in Israel or in Gaza or indeed in Lebanon, this has been a very traumatic period. My government's approach is that every innocent life matters, and we want to see a ceasefire, we want to see hostages released, we want to see aid get through to Gaza. I must say, though, there are no Australian weaponry involved in what is going on in Gaza. That is just not the case. We have made sure as well that Australia has taken, I think, a responsible position of continuing to call for not just the short-term issues in terms of ceasefire.
Dutton's sweating now. It's like, fuck.
to people in Gaza, the release of
Dutton knows what's about to come.
hostages, also our
What is his answer going to be? Oh my God, that poor man.
He's just going to say,
Stop, he's had enough.
let's not forget the Holocaust.
Yeah, he will say that.
and security side by side.
Prime Minister, thank you. Mr. Dutton.
Well, like the
Damn, there you go. I did not know that, because that is an endless talking point that you hear online constantly. There's like, did you know that like Australian weapons are like primarily funding the genocide? It's all Australian weapons that are happening.
I think
and then
when
he
we
just
say
outright says
Australian,
that's not true.
No, but what we mean by Australian weapons, we mean Avi Yemeni. He's the
Hell
weapon.
yeah.
He's
what
got
happened
guns
to that
too.
guy?
Huh?
What happened to that guy?
Oh, he's still around. He just doesn't come up into your feed because you find his views confronting.
No,
Right.
it's because democracy now
Yeah.
and RV Yemeni don't coincide on the same
It's
algorithm.
not the same shared.
You can choose one.
Incredible, but that 1 minute schooner man do because of their shared love of jazz.
One sip, one schooner.
One
Destroy
sip,
it.
one scooter, a democracy now. Who is drinking on that other than this?
Dude, I'm pretty sure that Mexican guy is the, hey, Juan. That's like, hey, Amy, I'm wasted right now, but that's why I don't leave this house.
Yeah, he probably watches it as well. He's so true. He's just like, yeah, good review on the German beer, man.
Oh, Gonzalez, you don't see that name that often. Oh, wait, they're talking about me.
I should never get onto
It's also,
democracy
I
now.
just looked on Ali's focus. I was checking my Instagram then. I love Ali's feed. It is just endlessly. Watch this hilarious footage of a Pakistani man getting pushed over in a bank. And then it's just a Pakistani man crashing into a garbage truck, which I'm almost certain that he's dead. I'm almost certain. And then they just put that really annoying sound of like the emoji cry laughing, like, and then it just finishes with music be like, oh, what the hell? Dude, you guys have the most fried algorithms.
The Prime Minister and every Australian, I was in the Middle East as well. But what we saw when
Me dick stinks.
Hamas took hostages and took people into the tunnel network, that was an action which, if it had happened to Australians, there would have been an expectation of our government to react, to send in the SAS to make sure that we recovered those people as quickly as possible. And I want to
Hell yeah, Dutton's sticking to his guns.
celebrate their heritage,
Dude, probably smart.
their connection.
He has to do it.
Smart one.
Yeah, you don't piss this. You can piss this chick off. She's not voting for Dutton anyway.
But when you come to our country,
He's already pissed off too many people by saying bring defense into negotiations.
heritage and culture, but also abiding by our laws. And I think what we've seen in our society over the course of the last couple of years, with fire bombings, with attacks on individuals, it's completely un-Australian. And
He's talking about you.
I think any of us would.
No, he's not.
I want to move on now. Here is Ian.
Mine was scary beardy weirdies firebombing. That's-
No, no.
he's protecting me.
I think he's talking about the false flag terrorism attack.
Oh, okay, so I'm still not worth the same regard as
Dude, that
imagined
man-
fire bombings.
Yeah.
Well, look, fair enough. Honestly, I have been very rude to Peter Dutton over the years.
He
Like,
does not care about you a single bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
If
fair
you
enough.
died right now,
he
he'd be
should,
like,
he should be celebrating if I died.
that's
Yeah.
the-
That's very unfortunate. Every Australian life matters.
Thank you.
and he'd have his fingers crossed the whole time. He
My
said that.
question, I'm an owner-driver from Kings Langley up near Blacktown. It's about the fuel excise.
Is this in Sydney?
I'm hoping
Yeah,
that
I think
you
it is.
will
Damn, isn't
Queensland.
that Jeremy?
Peter, because
Yeah.
I know they've offered tax cuts and that's great, but I believe they're not for 15 months. And to be honest, Mr Prime Minister,
We're
I need
struggling
$20 now.
not in 15 months' time. So, you know, the fuel is dialed into everything. Not only personally people's cars, but for me
Down
and other
Scots.
truck drivers, it makes the supply chain cheaper and cheaper and cheaper if fuel's less. And I'll say to Peter too, if you've only promised it for 12 months, extend it. Extend it for 3 years. Extend it for the whole term. And then I think Australia as a nation will be happy.
Damn.
I,
Policy on the fly.
not me, dude. Just giving discounted petrol is one of the worst economic decisions you can
Yes.
ever make.
I can understand why a truck driver likes the idea of cheaper petrol.
And
Why is
also,
it
I don't
bad?
even understand why the truck driver likes it. Dude, you can claim it as a business expense, and your company is probably paying for the fuel anyways, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. What the hell?
Dude, he's
what
a
do you get?
planted guy. He's
Maybe he's a.
He's a candidate.
No, maybe he's a business owner. Ever thought of that?
yeah, no, that, but he didn't say that. He said he's a truckie. So I don't understand why
yeah,
you
but maybe
want
it's
to do
called
something.
Big Terry's trucks or something. You know,
Yeah, it's Big Terry's trucks.
Big Terry pulls.
Ladies.
Damn. Far out. Pulls everything, doesn't it?
Ian, thank you.
Some guys get all the breaks.
Well, thanks very much, Ian, and thank you for what you do. As an owner,
As a Liberal Party's plant audience member.
It is tough. It is a tough job.
Your cover can be blown any moment.
pandemic, of course, was that you did keep the country going, along with our people in our hospitals and retail and in aged care.
Man, I wish that politicians didn't do the whole, well, I really respect your opinion.
Why?
Thank you so much for what you do. And I mean, look, I know, I get it. It makes you seem like a nice person
Yeah.
and everything. But, man, I do very much like in America where it's just Donald Trump and they'll be like, I don't think you're a friend to women. It's like, I am if you do a good job.
Dude, I'm telling
It's
you,
like,
if
just that.
if a candidate, instead of saying that, just
There's
says
no
like,
thank you for your answer. Or what?
if a candidate, even if an
not
Australian
good.
candidate that gets a question, something of that sort, just goes like, you know what? Shut up. You're actually the problem. We're in this mess. You've been doing this. You've been doing that. Dude, I bet you that person's going to increase in popularity overnight.
You reckon?
Well, I think Paul Keating
People
used
just
to
like
do
bosses.
that.
Yeah. People like someone that
maybe.
seems like
But
a
I
boss.
don't think Australians like a guy in a suit shitting on a truck driver.
Yes.
Americans
Constantly.
like that.
Constantly. Once in a while,
Yeah.
very acceptable.
Oh, that's true.
It was
Yeah.
magnificent the way that Australians got through what was a very difficult period. Look, we have to make decisions and we consider, that just are temporary.
Yay.
Just like it happened prior to the 2022 election, it then just disappeared after a period of time. And what Peter's proposing is something that is temporary, that will, of course, because of the nature of it as well, kick in for a period of time, increase the deficit in the short term. What we have looked to do to target cost of living measures as cost of living measures that put downward pressure on inflation, which is why we have been successful in getting inflation down to 2.4%. There's more work to do, but that's why we produced 2 budget surplus.
There really isn't, hey. If you're at 2.4% inflation, that's mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's
it's
pretty
just
good.
other things that you have to say to the general public to mollify them, you know, but that is good inflation.
Yeah, we were at 7-8% at one point.
I know.
Whoa.
We've halved the deficit that was anticipated this year, whilst putting in place what measures we can to provide that cost of living support when people need it across the range of areas that we have done.
Mr. Dutton, 3 years for Ian.
Well, Ian, thank you for your question. I do think fuel and the tax that's applied to fuel is a huge impost across the economy, which is why we've taken the decision, because a cut in the fuel excise, the fuel tax, it means a 25-cent a litre reduction, not just for families and small businesses, but also for pensioners and other people across the economy. And as you rightly point out, it takes some pressure off the supply chain. So it means that, you know, when you have a look at the fuel bill you're paying, think about the tradie as well, who might have 3 or 4 utes running around and the cost each week being paid, or delivery truck drivers.
Man, this truckie's just going to vote for Peter Dutton, isn't he? Because he's like, he's saying exactly what I said to him.
Dude, I'm telling you, the truckie is a Liberal Party plant.
Like, I don't think you need a plant for that, dude. There's
don't?
like a lot of those people.
yeah. There's a lot of Telegraph readers in the world.
On, you know, delivering produce to supermarkets, etc. That's where the real benefit is in the economy. I just make this point in terms of whether you make a decision about making it permanent. Good governments respond to the circumstances in front of them. And as I pointed out before, when we approached the COVID period, we looked at what economic...
Pause it.
And decisions...
Dude, Dutton's got the Trump thing. The Trump breathe-in thing that...
Does Trump do that?
Yeah, he's like... But he goes... Listen, every time he breathes in.
Really?
Yeah, he
I've
does.
never noticed that.
He does.
I spent a lot of my life watching him.
He goes...
I don't want that because now I'm going to not notice that.
Yeah.
Ah.
But listen to him, he's like...
But no, don't you think that Peter Dutton always sounds like he's inhaling while speaking? This
Yeah.
is another thing that I really wish for Peter Dutton. I wish that he went to a speech pathologist and they corrected that.
Because sounding like this your
Yeah.
entire life must be
Yeah.
very straining.
Yeah.
Like, a big reason why the man is the way he is because it must be such an effort for him to speak.
Imagine if he has to do that 25-hour long speech as the U.S. Senator.
Oh, he couldn't. He couldn't.
But just listen to the...
decisions that we could make to make it easier for families and businesses to survive through that period. We didn't bake them in permanently. We provided them on an ongoing basis. We renewed them if we thought that the economy still required that and people still needed that support, which is exactly the approach that I want to take. So it costs $6 billion a year. It's a lot of money. The Prime Minister's tax cuts cost about 17.4
It's like he's gasping for air.
and then
It's like he's
over
drowning.
$7 billion a year ongoing. Now, my
Jesus.
argument is that there are many ways in which we can provide support, including tax cuts, and we would reassess where we are as an economy, as a people, as a nation in 12 months' time. And if we needed to extend it, then we could do that. But I would just say that if you bake it in and you put it as a continuing cost that continues to compound, because every dollar that Anthony Albanese is spending at the moment is borrowed money, and that has to be paid for. So we just have to get the balance right.
Does it make us more vulnerable not having those buffers that we've had in previous crises? In hindsight, would you have put more money, saved more, because we've got another shock, as Michael quite rightly points out, the Trump shock? Are we more vulnerable now because of the 10 years of deficits forecast?
Well, one of the things that we did, Kieran, of course, was turn a $78 billion deficit we inherited. We turned that into a $22 billion surplus. And then we turned a deficit of more than $50 billion into a $15 billion surplus. We've saved $207 billion. The bottom line is better off since we came to office, and that's made a big difference. And Ian, can I say, I was talking to a truckie friend of mine the other day, and one of the things that he pointed out about Mr Dutton's plan to stop working from home was that if you put all those on the one hand, they're saying, yeah, we'll give you some cheaper petrol, but on the other hand, they were saying that people would have to drive more. And one of the things you know about being on the M4 here, or the M7, is that on the days, particularly Monday or Friday, because of working from home days, those increase on those days, it's easier to get around. That's one of the reasons why we put in our industrial relations policy, the right to bargain over work from home, and why we support it. Peter is now saying he does or he doesn't, but we think that's an important measure as well.
Kieran, I just want to pick the PM up on a couple of those things. The reality is that
I want to win too.
today was books where we were in balance. And that's what happened when the Prime Minister was elected. Now, the Prime Minister can scoff at that, but that's the reality, and Australians know that. Now, we had a situation over COVID where debt was run up, as we mentioned before, but the government has been able to achieve 2 surpluses off the back of Liberal Party economic management. And now, in the most recent budget, you've seen that debt goes to $1.2 trillion, and deficits, that is, the government's running at a loss in every budget in every year forward. Now, if they were such good economic managers, why would it only be in the first 2 years after a Liberal government they've been able to achieve a surplus? And now, from now on, and I'll just make this point,
Explain yourself, my friend. Why is it that you only get surpluses right after a Liberal
government, but not during a Liberal government? Explain that. That's incredible.
You explain it, man.
Oh, I can't explain it.
It's just how it is.
No, I get it. He's saying like, yeah, you know.
Well, we know what he's saying.
Yeah, he's obviously just being like, he's saying it's all like residual. It's like we do all the work and you benefit when it's actually inverted, right?
Yeah, I mean, look.
That's what this shit would argue.
10 years of not delivering a surplus. And they're saying that it took them 10 years to get back on the books.
Right.
Now, he's just blaming it on COVID. He's like, we were always in surplus. COVID came. We had to put up some money, but we were great economic managers. We set it up for the next government to get all the surplus, and now you've got it.
Yeah. I know that that's like the case, but like, dude.
Well, that is not the case.
I mean, I know that that's what he's saying, but it's just, it is truly astonishing that he is trying to take credit for those 2 budgets, especially because I remember looking at the OECD stats. This is incredible. IMF awards Labor second in the world in budget management. Second in the world.
Not number 1.
Who's number 1?
Yeah, the undecided vote.
Ways.
There's room for improvement. Undecided voter.
Ways in.
You're not wooing him, Alba.
Why don't you use the opportunity?
He has a question about the supply chain easement.
Wait, who was number 1?
And way to dodge the fuel excise.
Who was number
I
1?
don't think has been covered enough.
Who was number 1?
I think it was Canada, actually. Canada was number 1. But the thing is that they went from that, and then I think that I really can't remember what the number was, but it was something like the Liberals were 114th best budget managers in the world.
Jesus.
And to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, the Liberals just with their sound economic policies." That's they lined that up, and then this budget manager that is the second best in the world just took the credit for the 114th best budget manager in the world's incredible economics.
Are you the biggest spending government since Whitlam? So 40 years. In 40 years, there has not been a higher spending government than your government. Is that correct?
Well, that's not true, except for the one that you were a part of. And during COVID, of course it's true. And it's also true that there was a $78 billion deficit planned in the 2022 election. That you had the March 2022 budget. The election was in May, and money splashed out, including the cut to fuel excise. All this money out the door, a $78 billion deficit projected. We turned that into a surplus. We had a $100 billion turnaround. Debt is $178 billion less now than what it was anticipated to be in the March 2022 budget. The previous government promised...
Man, that woman has tuned out. She is staring at the floor.
Dude, I think she tuned out during the Howard years.
Why am I still a librarian? No one's answering. No one's helping me.
Can someone ask George Bush what he has to say about this?
Who are these people? Where's John Howard?
Surplus in its first year in 2014 and every year thereafter. They never delivered one. The only governments that have delivered 2 budget surpluses in a row is the one that I lead in the last 20 years, going back to the Howard government.
Mr. Dutton, if you want to reply, you can, but haven't you lost the moral high ground because you've copied most of the government's policies, including Medicare and various other commitments yet to come, like the ADF?
Moral high ground.
Gina, Mr. Journalist payments.
One is this is the highest spending government in 40 years. That's the fact. Now, the fact that is
Fact one.
alluded to, but didn't quite get to the truthful point. Over COVID, he supported all the spending that was committed to by the coalition and $50 billion more. That's what was proposed by Labor at the time. So let's put all of that on the record. We have opposed $100 billion worth of spending under this government. They've spent an extra $425 billion. And that is why Australians have lived through basically 2 years of going backwards in their own household budgets. And it's why they're racking up $1.2 trillion worth of debt.
Mr. Albanese, your question now to the opposition leader. Thanks.
Well, my question to Peter is that you have opposed every cost of living measure that we've put forward over the last 3 years in government. You now are going to an election with a nuclear plan that will build 7 nuclear reactors that will cost $600 billion to provide 4% of power sometime in the 2040s. What are you going to cut to pay for it? Because the private sector won't fund nuclear reactors because it doesn't stack up. So taxpayers, including everyone in this room, is going to have to pay for this nuclear plan.
Well, Anthony, with respect, that's a very dishonest proposition you put. So the CSIRO report puts the capital cost of nuclear at about $120 billion. Now, your plan, independently costed by Frontier Economics, a company used by the Labor Party and probably the best economist when it comes to looking at energy policy in the country, puts the Labor Party policy of renewables only at $600 billion. Our policy is 44% cheaper than that, $231 billion in total, $331 billion in total. The Labor Party's proposal is $263 billion more. Now, the Prime Minister, Chris Bowen, has never disputed that figure. There are 29 nuclear reactors being built in China at the moment. The United Kingdom Labor government has just announced that they can't achieve net zero by 2050 without cutting down on the approval times for small modular reactors and nuclear in those systems. We are paying 3 times the cost for electricity compared to Ontario, where they have nuclear in the system. In France, there is 70% nuclear in the system. Our policy is to make sure that we can underpin our economy with a stable energy market for the next 100 years. So the amortisation period, or the life of the nuclear reactors, lasts between 80 and 100 years, and that cost is spread over that.
Damn, where's Fang?
If the renewables
Damn,
are
it
so much
is.
cheaper, as the Prime Minister keeps telling
I think that's Ando.
has
Yeah.
broken his promise of a
Really let himself go.
$275 a year cut to your electricity bill, when in actual fact it's gone up by $1,300 under this government, and families are struggling to pay their bills. And the difference between the two policies is that our
That's not true. I was looking at the stats the other day. The AEMO figures that he's referring to there, they went up 130% under the last 10 years of the Liberal government. And that was because, how's this? I forgot about this. You know that they had 20 different energy policies in their time? 20.
Who?
The Liberals. They had 20. They were just chopping and changing energy policy all the time. I honestly think that that was deliberate, so it made it hard for private companies to think, okay, this is how we're going to implement renewable energy.
Right.
And so they were just constantly changing the policy. So they'd be like, okay, now we have to work around it. No, we've got a new one. So that was the major reason that went up under those years. Under them, it's stabilized and gone down 1%.
Here's another point that none of them bring up. They always compare the energy policy to like Germany or France. How come they miss the fact that like the sun is beaming on most of this country for most of the time of the year, and we have infinite amount of land to capture that?
Yeah.
Like, don't you think like people should play, like countries should play on their strengths? Like,
Yeah.
if you're living in Germany, I get how the sun, is a bit unreliable. But if you live in Alice Springs, you're pretty reliable. It shows up all the fucking time.
Yeah.
You know what Albo should do as one of those little chuckle points, don't you think? He should be like, well, we also have a nuclear policy. Ours is known as the sun.
Yeah.
You should do that one. What do you reckon?
policy is 44% cheaper, and in the interim, we increase the supply of gas into the market because gas helps create electricity. Gas helps create steel and bricks, and it will help with the construction sector.
Wait, can you pause for just a second? Have you heard about this? I want to actually... Apparently, there's a fight between Peter Dutton and Gina Reinhardt over the gas policy.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I don't know too much of the details. I just know that she was annoyed at Peter Dutton backtracking on it a bit. I think because
she doesn't produce any gas. I mean, aside from her, her stomach. But I think her problem is like she wants them to keep pulling out more and more coal because that's where her investments are. So when he goes like, we're gonna do a gas-based recovery, he's like, that's not why I hired you, piece of shit.
yeah, I suppose she does have gas wells.
She does?
She does have
maybe
gas
I'm
wells,
wrong
but yeah,
about that.
obviously most of her money comes from coal and iron ore.
Inflation at the moment.
But when you are the richest woman in Australia, you have a somewhat diverse portfolio, I'm imagining.
Will help bring down the prices for farmers and manufacturers and producers. And at the moment, the gas that we're exporting to foundation contracts and to many of our partners is important, but there is a lot of gas that's exported that we could turn back into the domestic market. We can reduce, as the independent analysis has shown.
That guy's paying close attention.
I reckon I know.
And nothing's connecting. Look at that face.
I think he's just thirsting over Albo.
Just put the footy on. Come on.
That's probably what he's actually looking at. There's just a TV in the back of the RSL.
Is he the guy that Peter Dutton hit with the football? He's just been permanently.
Whoa.
Where's my apology?
He's had a lobotomy.
By about 50% the cost of electricity. We could bring down the cost of
Aussies
coal
are so funny.
and that is, I think, transformational for our economy, but of course opposed by the Prime Minister.
Well, let's hear from him.
Well, the only gas policy that the coalition have is the gaslighting of the Australian public.
Oh, he's got his own Twitter snap. All right, that was really cringy. Anyway.
It's Delulu.
Whether it's the Australian energy market operator, everyone who looks at it, if the nuclear plant stacked up, the private sector would invest in it. But everyone who looks at it says it's the most expensive form of new energy. What we support is renewables backed by gas. We introduced the future gas strategy. We have the gas security mechanism that we introduced in Parliament that they voted against to guarantee that domestic supply. So we want renewables backed by gas, backed by batteries, backed by hydro. 24 out of the 28 coal-fired power stations in Australia announced their closure during the former government. They were there for a decade. There was no new coal-fired power stations built, and there was no nuclear plan.
Prime Minister, thanks. Let's hear from Prit.
Pretty good argument.
Good response.
Yeah.
I live in St. George area, Kogra.
Whoa!
Wait. Miss, calm down, all
How high
right?
pitch is her voice?
Wait, hold up. Just relax. It's
What?
okay.
I didn't say anything.
I think you might seem. I think this is Eastern European. Don't worry too much.
It's not, but
That voice.
well, look, Toongabbie. I mean, I see where the electorate is being this thing's being held. You know what I'm saying? Western
God,
Sydney.
Can you imagine trying to be taken seriously your whole life with that? Listen.
Realize
Dude.
that whenever we have to go for
Dude, Trump has the best response. Like, you're very pretty. I'm sure you're saying great stuff. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Next question.
Don't you reckon? That's the best way to do it.
And now he's got a translator that translates English to English.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Right.
medical visit, we have to pay doctors a gap fee.
Fuck.
It's increasing every day. So it's very difficult with current cost of living crisis. Every time paying extra gap fee. So I want to ask both of you, what's your plan? Do you want to increase Medicare funding? So we
Man, imagine if she
okay.
was
It's
one
almost
of the
over,
forum
miss.
debates.
Miss is gonna freak out.
And the opposition leader, Mrs. Squeaky.
won't have to pay extra gap fee, or is there any way where we can stop doctors to charge us extra?
Prit, thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Prith, for that question. And this is one of my government's priorities. And what we did in last year's budget was we tripled the bulk billing incentive for doctors, the amount that they're paid, for concession card holders, for pensioners and others who go along. That resulted in a 90% rate of bulk billing. Now, we now have another $8.5 billion to triple the incentive for everyone, all 27 million Australians, because we want those bulk billing rates to go up to 90%. On top of that, we have Medicare urgent care clinics. There's one just down the road here in Wentworthville that I've been to.
Is that your-
with,
Wentworthville.
a local member.
Yeah.
They have seen 1.3.
Dude, the irony is she's the one charging patients.
Under the age of 15, and people can get the care that they need when they need it. In between, if it's not life-threatening, you end up at an emergency department. In between, if your kid breaks their arm or you need urgent assistance, but it's not life-threatening, that's the place to go. And that's made an enormous difference. And all you need is this little thing here, Prith.
Pull it out, mate.
Yeah,
Pull that out.
there it is.
I thought there was no props allowed in Parliament.
Now, Peter Dutton's going to bring out a credit card. All you need is this.
Yeah.
In the future, we get those bulk billing rates back up to 90%.
Mr. Dutton.
Prit, can I just ask, please? It's a great question.
Where are you
Can I
from?
just ask, what's your experience? So, when you go to the doctor,
Before you came to the country.
do you have to use your Medicare card, or do you have to use your credit card as well?
Cover the full charge, so I have to pay $70 or $80.
Your credit card.
I hear that.
You called it. You called it.
Yours is the
Thank you for your
story of
honesty.
hundreds of thousands, millions of Australians as well. And I've heard the Prime Minister run this stunt before with the only need your Medicare card. It's not true. Bulk billing rates have reduced under this government. And that's the reality. It's there in black and white. Not only that, the out-of-pocket expenses have increased as well, which is exactly your experience. I want to make sure that we can provide adequate funding, and we've announced almost $9.5 billion now into Medicare and health services in our country. We need to train more GPs.
Damn, you can't touch it.
$1 million to train more GPs because we've got an ageing workforce, and it's particularly difficult to get GPs out into the outer metro areas and regional areas as well. So we need to make sure that we've got a system where you can go, particularly in a circumstance where you
Pause
can't
it.
afford to pay.
Pause it. Look at the guy in the background. He's like, oh, just want to end it all. I've had enough.
He's thinking about it, isn't he?
I've had enough time.
And what's she thinking,
It'd be
miss?
easy.
What's she thinking?
Yeah, what's she thinking right now?
She's thinking that is how I'm going to bring in Indian spies into. I
knew it. I knew
Is
it.
that what you were waiting for?
Exposed.
She's a plant. She's an Indian plant.
And the guy behind him knows.
And he
He
knows
can read thoughts. That's why he's very sad about
No,
it.
he's sad because
This whole debate's a shame.
he's sad because he knows he can't do anything about it.
And that's truly why he's thinking of ending himself.
Credit card, or you just don't have cash available. I don't want you to miss out on going to the doctor. And what we're intent on doing is making sure that we can lift the bulk billing rate so that we can.
Wait, can you pause it for a sec? So he just can't touch Medicare. He wants to axe it, but he can't touch it.
Oh, he's done it. This is the incredible thing. Remember how they were all saying that, like, oh, Medicare, we actually weren't going to touch Medicare at all.
Yeah.
They absolutely did that. The way that they did it was that they got $50 billion the last time that they were in. And that means that all of these medical practices that were doing bulk billing, that were doing rebates, can't afford to do that anymore. So they just become private practices. Those ones that we were talking about, like the good ones that you go to and there's like minties at the front.
Yeah.
Always has that. This is how you know you're in a good medical practice. Don't you
Yeah.
reckon? You walk into the doctor's office and it has that model of a skeleton.
Yes.
Next to it.
And
If
like
it doesn't
in
have the
the-
model of the skeleton, don't trust
And
it.
in the office, there's like one of those like, some chart of some sort.
Wait, I also know one more.
What? They all have charts. What
Not the
kind
ones
of
I
chart?
go to.
Damn.
Oh,
I go to a.
What? Then they just have this like.
It's like a white
Consult for
room.
your free AIDS check today.
Yes.
It's
and
like
you know
that
how
kind of-
else? You know how else you know it's a good family?
Not the ones I go to.
You know how else you know there's a good medical practice? When you go in and there's an air con and a bucket underneath that air con to catch the water that's coming from the front.
That's a good
Oh
one.
yeah.
yeah,
a good
that's my one.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
That's
Okay.
the best one.
So like they do the so the libs do the classic thing of like starve.
And there's toys for the kids.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
you know.
So
In the
the-
waiting room, there's toys.
So the
And the
libs.
toys are construction material, right?
So the libs starve the system, and then they're like, "Well, look, it's inefficient, so we have to have like a
No.
private."
They just starved the system. And so what you saw was bulk billing rates in free fall, as in the places where you could go
Yeah,
to
yeah.
bulk bill.
Yeah.
Those
But that's
places
what I'm
were just in
saying.
free
So
fall.
they starve
Man,
it.
you have no idea how many communities there were in Australia. It was a nuts amount of numbers, right? There's entire towns where you can't go to a bulk billing doctor anymore.
Yeah.
And that was purely because of the Liberals.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Cutting
Like,
money.
but then his solution is like, you have to bring your credit card as well. That's the solution.
Well, he's just sitting there and saying, what we want to do is... What he was saying then is, Labor's plan is terrible. What we have done is just copy Labor's plan.
Right.
He's just repeating what Labor's plan is.
But yeah, but because politically he knows it's like it's suicide to be like, let's cut Medicare.
You can't say that ever.
Yeah.
You
But
never,
But he
ever,
used to,
ever
right?
say
Back in the day, that used to be like their thing.
No,
they would
what
publicly
it was-
say that
No.
Medicare-
They used to always say we need to make sure that it's sustainable. Like that, it's too expensive. That was the.
Yeah,
It was never that we're cutting it.
The Joe Hockey
It was never that we're
playbook.
cutting it. No, yeah, it was that we have to make Medicare sustainable. That
And
was the
you
way.
can do that by paying an extra $10 every time you visit.
Yeah,
That
right.
was
Yeah.
their 2013 pitch.
Yeah, and
Surely
so that just like
Howard-
started going up and up and up. And this, the way that Labor has stopped that from happening, it's an incredible accomplishment. This is the whole thing about all of the big accomplishments of the Labor Party is they're all huge, but it's very boring to explain why they're huge.
Right.
But making urgent care clinics in all of these shit kicker communities means that there is a place permanently that you can go to and it is bulk billed. You understand? So like the
Yeah,
other one was
yeah.
always just like you go to shit medical practices, like these big the big
ones I go
GP
to.
clinics, right?
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
ones.
Medical
Usually
practice.
those things were bulk billed. That's
Yeah.
why you were going in there and there was an
Yeah, it
Indonesian
used to
man and
be.
they'd be like,
They know there's
show me your hand.
some still are.
No,
Yeah,
dude.
some are,
Some of
yeah.
them
But they
are
are in
sometimes
decline.
bulk billed.
Right.
So if you go on a weekend, it's not bulk billed.
Ah.
And so like sometimes they'll tell you, oh, it's after 5. We don't bulk bill at this hour.
Right.
There's always
right.
stuff like that
Yeah.
happening at those. But it's not fully bulk billed.
Yeah, so
Right.
these are the things that are happening to the medical practice that started going down. They flatlined that in one term. That is a massive accomplishment.
Right.
That means that they have built up enough places across. Think about it this way: their goal when they came in was to build 50 urgent Medicare clinics, 50 urgent care clinics. They nearly doubled it. They got
You
to
mean
nearly
GPs
90.
or hospitals?
Like an urgent care clinic is just one of those big places that'll have 5 or 6 doctors. there
Medical
at
center,
once.
like a medical
like a
center,
medical center.
yeah.
But this is like kind of like a state-run
Yeah,
medical center.
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't not bulk build this. This is their
Right.
way of
Right. And they built
Dutton
100.
proofing it, if you will.
Yeah, and they built 100.
They
They
nearly
built
built 100.
That's crazy.
And then they're going to build another 50 when they get in again.
Right.
This is how they are going to stop the Liberals from the next time that they get in, just slowly
Yeah.
choking. The best
Yeah.
way to describe it is choking Medicare.
Right.
Support to families like yours. Under this government, though, the Medicare campaign continues. But the Prime Minister, if he was being truthful with you, would say to you that, yes, the cost that you're paying out of pocket has increased under this government, and the fact is that bulk billing rates have fallen under Labor, including in this electorate here in Parramatta.
But Peter, you tried, when you were the health minister, you tried to abolish bulk billing by having a fee every time people visit a doctor or every time people visit an emergency department. That's what you did as health minister, and when you couldn't get that through, you froze the Medicare rebate, which stayed frozen for 6 years. That's why we are having to deal with this. That's why my government has had to find the $8.5 billion that you've matched. To be fair, you have said you agree with our policy there, but we're repairing what we inherited, which was bulk billing in free fall while the coalition was in government.
Well, again, that is factually incorrect. I was health minister in 2013-14. The bulk billing rate in our country was 84%.
Yeah.
It went to 88% by the time we finished government, and the Prime Minister rightly will point out that includes services over COVID. But it was heading up under us.
He's just lying?
The fact is that it is now down to 77%.
But Peter, did you try to introduce a charge to get rid of bulk billing?
I'm happy to come to that. So,
Damn, he just said he's happy to come on.
What he is talking about there is exactly that. Like, he's just talking about the amount of influx that happened during the COVID spend. It was like going, and then like everything else, COVID just fucked everything. And just so like there was a lot of medical expenditure that happened under COVID. You had to do all these free tests and all that kind of stuff. So bulk billing went up for that. It was just that huge influx of cash, but it was just going COVID, and then those were temporary injections of cash, and then it went again.
Right.
It's now at 77%. The Prime Minister wants you to believe that it's much higher and that it's in free fall. It's not. It wasn't in free fall under our government. And what has happened since the Prime Minister's been in power over the last 3 years, it has come back. Now, doctors that we put into training when I was Health Minister, Greg Hunt was Health Minister, those doctors have graduated at a record number and are coming into the healthcare system now. We invested into that. Our desire in relation to the whole health system was to make sure that we had a strong general practice, because it's the experience of all of us. When you have young kids or you've got aged parents, you need to be able to have a relationship with the general practice or a doctor that you can go to regularly. You need to be able to make sure that you can get an appointment, which is difficult at the moment. And we were trying, and we will always do our best, and that's why we've supported the funding now to build general practice. I want to see a strong primary care network, because if we do that, we can stop presentations at emergency departments, we can detect earlier cancers, and that's the whole idea of having a strong network of general practice. And under our watch, the bulk billing rate increased under this.
What he's saying there is he's talking about privatising the healthcare system by saying, like, we need a strong general practice so that we have, like, earlier detection.
Right,
we can take off the pressure from... But they're saying basically that, but they're saying, but we're going to have those general practices state-run. But he's saying we just want private general practices.
Yeah, but what's really going to happen is that his cancer is going to get detected early, but someone that's poor, their cancer will be detected in their post-mortem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what killed him.
The Minister's watch, it has gone down. That is in
I want to move on his Ria. Thank you.
I'm from West Pennant Hills and grew up in a hard-working migrant family.
You like the accent there,
how
huh?
will cutting migration affect industries like healthcare and construction? And what will you do
Assimilated.
to migration discussions
Keep them a
remain
little
respectful
time.
and avoid demonizing migrants?
Wait, I missed that.
I think we are.
Huh?
She said...
I missed the question. I was just talking.
As she was talking about migrants built this country, can you talk about cutting migration without being a racist?
And that's why I'm telling you, this whole integration thing is not necessarily a good thing. Because then they integrate and start asking the uncomfortable questions. Yeah, before the lady that was talking like this, she was just talking about basic stuff about Bubba, and the other one, what about us? What about all the immigrants?
Yeah,
now tell me, is integration good or bad?
Good.
Really?
Well, I mean, I get your point, but one sounds less funny. So it's a tough one.
That will always be.
That's a tough one.
But wouldn't you want to hear funny voices all the time?
What do you mean?
That voice, I just felt sorry for her.
Yeah,
There's two
true.
people speaking that really Man, screw the Greens is like, you should add dental care. You should add speech pathology to Medicare. It is urgent.
pathology?
It's urgent.
From the
that man
opposition
should
leader.
get bulk billing so that someone can say, dude, you don't have to breathe in after every third word. Like,
so
you do
cute.
realise you're on land, right? You're not a fish. You're not gulping.
Stop acting like a whale.
What is that?
That's a man that should have died a long time ago.
Doesn't it? Sounds like that. He sounds undead.
Dude, iron deficiency.
Of our migrant story, and I think we should celebrate it more as a country. People who came here with nothing, people who have worked hard. The same story of migrants today. But we have to have a well-managed program. And when you bring in a million people over the course of 2 years,
Oh, he's still doing it.
is going to have an impact on health services, on infrastructure, on education, right across the economy. So if we've had a 65% increase, and if the government's going to bring in a popular...
Man, you know what? I just realised debates are so inaccessible to people who don't spend their entire lives following politics.
As in,
Or own binge. Apparently, you
Or
can't
own binge.
watch
Yeah,
it
that's it.
anymore.
There's so many barrier points, isn't there? Why would you own binge?
Why
For
would
the
you?
Friends reunion.
Why would you pay to watch this?
I don't know. We're only paying because we get paid to watch
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Thank you.
So you're just saying that, like,
Fellas at
what are
home.
these people saying? Is that what you're saying?
Do you reckon that the average person would be listening to this and they'd be hearing someone saying, no, the bulk billing rate was in free fall,
Yeah.
but under our government it was up by 84%. They will dispute these figures,
Yeah.
but that is just on record. You can go to the Department of Figures and it's just
hard. It's
endlessly.
hard to decipher.
It's really hard to
Yeah.
break through all of that.
Yeah.
And then someone else goes up there and just says, those figures are all wrong because if you go look at
then
this Department of
you're like,
Treasury
It's
Finance,
like, well, now I don't know who to believe.
it makes a lot of sense that everybody there is just starting to
Yeah.
say, this is why Donald Trump won, because you got to keep him
I know.
entertained.
I know.
Good
but-
TV. But dude, if it is any comfort, Albo's winning.
Yeah,
he is
definitely.
winning. But this is the whole thing, man. Labor always wins the debates, obviously. But the problem is they're on binge.
Adelaide over a 5-year period and take money out of infrastructure at the same time, it's going to have an impact. So we have to have a managed migration program, and our argument is that you can reduce it from the record level that it's at the moment down by 25% for 2 years, which will create about 100,000 homes, and that will help young Australians get into housing.
We've got a question from Janine. Thanks, Janine.
Hi. I'm 74 years old.
Yes.
I worked very hard all my life.
Jordan missed the best
money
one.
At all. I have an average family.
Oh,
You work hard, you save, you buy your home, you have your children, and you move on. Okay. My future, well, not worried about it. My children's future and my grandchildren's future, I worry about. Because I have not seen any government take control of a fact, and it is a fact. A lot of foreign companies and countries buy Australian farmland. We have a lot of migrants, sorry, not migrants, I shouldn't say that. We have a lot of students who are here visiting, who are buying housing within the city area. And we have a lot of people here just on visas, buying properties here in Sydney, and they are now empty. We have a lot of housing within the city areas that are empty because they are owned by foreigners who do not live in this country. When is one of our governments going to turn up and say, Australia belongs to Australians, and therefore our land remains Australian land?
Come on, it's a clap.
Well, Janine, you're selling yourself short. You look pretty healthy and well, so...
oh my God. No one wants to fuck you, Peter.
A couple of points.
He's charming.
We're a small nation, 27 million people.
You're going to slide off his face.
More than we can consume in our country. And talk to our farmers or talk to our manufacturers. We want to open up markets and export, and we want to trade with the world, and that's always been the case. No, and so in relation to land, that is part of that discussion. So people want to invest into our country. We have limits in relation to purchases being made. Your point is that they could be made tougher, and that's a fair point to make. What I'd say in relation to housing is that we have announced, as part of our housing policy, not just the $5 billion to create the 500,000 new homes, not just a cut to migration so we can get Australian kids into housing, but also a 2-year ban on foreign buyers from purchasing existing housing stock here. And that's because I don't want foreign buyers competing against young Australians at auctions or at the sale, of the house that they've got their mind on. Beg your pardon?
You said existing. Does
Yes.
that stop them from buying, from building new homes, buying property and building new homes?
So the reason that it's a fair question, the reason that we've stated that we're talking about existing homes is that if you look at unit developments, there is a certain number of pre-sales that need to take place before that unit development can be completed. So if they don't get the pre-sales, they don't get the finance, and the apartment block of 200 units doesn't get built. So what we didn't want to do was cut out some of those pre-sales, and a portion of some of those pre-sales will be to foreign students, for example, but it allows that project to get up and running, and it allows those 200 units to come onto the market.
Let's give
we're
the
trying
PM.
to strike that
I want to give the
balance,
PM some time because we've only got not long. So
Yeah, thanks very much, Janine. Thanks for the question, but more importantly, thanks for what you've done, helping to build our country. We are.
Wow, election season is really just suck my dick season.
Your hard work, including raising children here. If you have got any
You missed the
grandkids-
best one, dude.
Yeah, dude, you missed the
and
best
some
one.
grandkids as well. That's fantastic. So
I'll give you an update.
the same.
An old lady, 75-year-old, says, my question is about foreigners buying Australian land. It should be for Australian, blah, blah, blah. And Peter Dunn starts out with, first of all, you look very sexy tonight.
Yeah, well.
Well, he
he's
didn't say exactly.
paraphrasing. He's paraphrasing, but yeah.
But
He's always putting on the charm.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, but
charming.
like, it's, how? You are not charming.
Is already in place effectively. We have put in place a 2-year ban on foreign ownership of homes. We think that's appropriate at the moment in order to ensure that homes are available for Australians. We want to increase the supply of homes.
Yes.
That's absolutely central to a range of policies that we've put in place, whether it be private rentals, whether it be public and social housing where I grew up, or whether it be home ownership as well.
Okay, next question.
Hi, my question is to both of you. So, in terms of the solar rebate, I know strategies have been implemented before, but what's your, in the future, how do you plan to improve that?
Prime Minister.
Yeah, look, solar policy is really important, and we have the largest number of solar panels on roofs per head of population. Of
Yeah, apparently
anywhere
that's
in the
true.
world.
Really?
And
Yeah, we have the most per capita.
This is an inner city thing, of course, is completely wrong. The rate in Blacktown is 10 times the rate in Bondi. What we don't have enough of is batteries
Bondi.
to make sure
Shout out.
that the power can be absorbed, if you like, when the sun's shining, and then it can roll out and be used during peak periods. Now, that's good for individuals, the householder, because it will reduce, of course, their power bills, and will provide a 30% rebate for batteries. But it's also important for everyone else, because what it does is take pressure off the energy grid and mean that the prices for everyone in terms of the energy will be less as well. So we think this is really important. The other thing we think is important is that we make things here. There isn't a solar panel in the world that doesn't have intellectual property that was made here at the University of New South Wales or the Australian National University. What we haven't been good at in this country is commercialising the innovation. You know, we're a smart country. And what I want to do, and that's what a future made in Australia is about, is to make sure we seize the opportunities to make more things here, commercialise innovation when they happen here, and make sure that we really take advantage of it, rather than just export our resources overseas, see the jobs created overseas, and then we buy the products back when they're finished.
Mr. Dutton, your response to that?
Well, firstly, we've strongly supported rooftop solar, and that's been a really integral part of the rollout, as the Prime Minister pointed out, and it's received subsidies at a state government level, and the federal government's put money into that, both Liberal and Labor, to be fair. The difficulty is that a lot of people have had to put solar on their roofs because they just can't cope with the power bills that they've got.
Yeah.
And so for a period of time, people saw a reduction
It's not
in
true,
their
though.
electricity bills, and now they've seen the prices spike again. Now, the Prime Minister's policy in relation to batteries is that he's asking you to provide a subsidy or to support a subsidy for people on higher incomes like me to buy a battery at a subsidised price. And I don't believe that's fair. I don't think that your next door neighbour who is earning less than you or is struggling to pay the bills at the moment should be paying extra taxes to fund a battery for you on a higher income or in a better position. So I think solar has been really important, but let's realise the reality in people's lives as to why there has been such an uptake. You can tell your kids so many times to turn the lights off, and you can try and put all sorts of energy saving uses into your household, but the reality is that many people have taken up solar because the price of electricity has just gone through the roof. Well, we want to make sure that we can provide support to people, but I'm not going to say to you that we're going to support a policy where people who are on lower incomes, who are struggling at the moment, are expected to subsidise a battery for people on higher incomes.
Let's move on if we can. I just want to move on if we can because we've only got
to subsidise nuclear reactors.
We've got 8 minutes.
As they are offshore wind and your green hydrogen, which doesn't work.
8 minutes to go, so we can keep these answers.
That was actually a pretty good call by Dutton.
You reckon?
I mean, it's a glib line, but I mean, where's the result?
What, they don't work?
Like green hydrogen is still developing technology, but that is the whole point. If you had more time to explain it, what you would say is, this is why Albanese is not saying that there is going to be, to the much chagrin of inner city voters.
Yeah, it's not going to be all
There's
renewable.
going to be gas that is going to be a backup for a long time because there is no backup substance now.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit there and say batteries, but batteries can fail.
Yeah.
You know?
He's also right about the green hydrogen thing because I looked up hydrogen for a little bit, and apparently the cost of, when you're getting hydrogen out of water so the cost of separating them and just extracting hydrogen, the carbon footprint of it is significantly larger than if you don't do it. Right. The hydrogen you're extracting is still dirty hydrogen, even though it's made from a clean process.
Right.
But the clean process uses a lot of energy, which is why even in New South Wales, Chris Minns and even federal Labor government is heavily incentivizing people that can come up with some kind of technological innovation that does that.
Right.
But I think the future is natural hydrogen. And if anyone out there in South Australia is working on natural hydrogen, can I get in on that? Because please.
I won't get in on that.
I want to get in on natural hydrogen. I know that natural hydrogen is potentially going to be one of the biggest exports of Australia. And I wish that Albo is right and it does become green hydrogen. But I have a feeling that we're going to rely on natural hydrogen that's underneath the ground.
What I will say is clean coal technology, sequestration, green hydrogen, these technologies are developing. When the things that he's
blue
talking
hydrogen
about
has some potential.
Well, yes, but I think
Jesus, this is crazy.
I think blue hydrogen,
sounds like sci-fi to me.
White hydrogen have potential. Green hydrogen,
sci-fi.
Sounds like sci-fi. Like
really
blue
scary
hydrogen,
that we live in
green
this age.
hydrogen.
Yes.
I like purple hydrogen. Think of that.
No.
What
Tell
you
me
doing?
more of this. Purple hydrogen.
Well, you just chuck food dye in the ocean, don't you?
Oh, okay, right. I thought it was just like produced by King Charles pumping a mill.
It's actually a bear. Who'd have thought?
But apparently,
one schooner.
Apparently, if you're researching on,
If he ever meets the king,
Sorry.
he probably is his cousin.
apparently if you're looking to produce green hydrogen in New South Wales, the government is willing to give you between $50,000 and $100,000 for the research.
Yeah, well, the cannabis
Yeah,
party.
that's what
will
I'm
do
saying.
that.
Like at some point, I think that this will break through. Hydrogen is showing promise.
And anyways, once again, I repeat, anyone working on white hydrogen, can you please contact me or
I
Jordan?
thought it was green. How many are there?
Well, white hydrogen is just mining hydrogen.
It's just mining hydrogen.
Oh,
which is obviously the most direct route, and there's very few places on Earth that you can do.
Apparently,
that.
there's heaps in South Australia,
Right.
about an hour and a half away from Adelaide. That's why I'm saying, anyone in South Australia, please hit us up. Sorry, continue.
Well, all I'm saying is, when it comes to small modular nuclear, when it comes to thorium, when it comes to all of these science fiction, these are just around the corner technologies that Peter Dutton's talking about. Those haven't advanced since the 70s. There's been no advancement. in
Right.
them. They've been talking about this same stuff for 50 years. Nothing.
Right.
Look, I used to be one of these people that used to say that carbon sequestration and clean coal and all this stuff, has no advancements. Man, it is true that there are places in, say, Japan or something like that that have reduced the amount of carbon emissions coming out of coal plants by 80%.
Whoa.
There is developments in these things.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like, it's just these technologies are advancing. Even the ones that you think like the show pony ones, they have been advancing. Nuclear hasn't.
Right.
This is nice.
I mean, even the fact that they're even talking about green hydrogen. Could you imagine seriously bringing that up 20 years
Dude,
ago?
whoever can
I
gain
guess
green
not.
hydrogen will be the kingpin of the future.
Right.
That's why they're all investing.
They're all doing it, but I don't know if it's that easy to do. Anyways,
It's
but
not easy. It's
we
not
have
easy.
heaps of white hydrogen, so like, anyway,
Yeah, we're fine.
Tight, that'd be good. Here's Jane.
Hi, so I live in a semi-rural sort of area. Obviously, there's a lot of issues. Like, obviously, we've got one high school in our area that's public and one that's private. Unless the kids want to travel 40 minutes on a train, and roads are absolutely like crap. We're not as close to the airport and stuff. I'm wondering what you're going to do for semi-rural sort of areas like Tamil.
Thanks, Jane. PM.
Where
Pause
the
it,
hell
pause it, pause
is
it,
that?
Pause it. Pause it. No, pause it. As if you shouldn't be like, well, put it this way, whatever your name is. We're going to put the tarmac back in Tamil.
Yes!
As soon as you pointed out to me on the map, what state is that in?
Come on, though. That's
Right, so here's what I want to say.
would that not fly?
No one cares about you and where you live. Peter Dutton?
He'd have a heart attack. He'd be like, do it. Like, call the ambulance.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Imagine if Peter,
Breathe.
what if Peter Dutton
Dutton's
just say,
campaign, throwing a lifeline while he gets a heart attack.
what if Dutton just go, the Prime Minister is right about this, no one cares about you.
Oh, God.
Okay, next question.
That would never happen.
Sit down.
Hello, my question is about early learning centres.
Out of Sydney, if you can call it that. It's a fair way away. And one of the things that we are doing, one of the things I want to see, of course, is the railway line through Bradfield, through the airport that's going to be there, extended down into the Macarthur region as well. One of the things I want to see is those north-south corridors.
Yeah.
Infrastructure.
to Western Sydney.
What Jeremy was talking about today.
In addition,
That's the first time I've seen anyone with their answer just being like, "Bet time. I know what a train is."
Yeah, and look, but like he knows so much about the roads. Clearly, he knows a lot about infrastructure.
Exactly. Well, as he stated, you're
You
right.
come down to the Macarthur, we take a right over there. We're going to put up a stop sign.
It's a really good kebab. It's called Kebab Brothers
We're-
on the corner there on the M4. Really
Jesus,
good kebab.
It's one of those
We're gonna
cabbies
put
in
in a
London
UE.
that's the whole country.
That's amazing.
Isn't that incredible?
That's amazing.
Yeah, the East Link, yeah? Yeah, I'll get you there 45 minutes.
We'll link it to the Bruce Highway.
It's you're so right.
Yeah.
It's just shit.
Because he used to be the infrastructure minister.
That's
or
a good
whatever,
point.
yeah.
to that, of course, roads funding, we have doubled the Roads to Recovery program. That's for local councils to fix up local roads. On schools, those schools will
That's what
benefit
Roads to Recovery
from
is.
our school funding program. The Medicare changes that we're making will make it easier to see a doctor. We are putting in Medicare urgent care clinics, another 50 of them as well. And do you have kids in childcare, or what's your personal circumstances?
So my kids are both in primary school, but my son's not far off high school. That's why I was wondering about mostly, I guess, around the infrastructure of like high schools, because there's only one public and one private in the area.
Yeah. Look, the schools, by and large, schools in terms of capital funding is done by state governments. But one of the things that we're
Brutal.
making sure that we do, the agreement for New South Wales
Why?
alone that we've...
You saw it in real time, the endless bane of being your local member, of people coming in and saying, my bins weren't taken.
Yeah.
Okay, I am the federal member.
Yeah.
What you want to talk to is the mayor, or preferably not even waste the mayor's time.
Well,
talk to a councillor.
They could let us know, couldn't they? It's that bloody complicated.
Why am I voting for
But
you
you're
if you
the
can't do
government,
anything?
aren't you?
Well,
You're my local
I don't know
member.
where the jokes are in this show.
So what I hear is you're doing nothing.
No, look, it's good to know. Now I know. Okay. Maybe it should be clarified. We're not all nerds, right? And she
Probably
sure as
because
hell-
of our shit schools.
Time with the New South Wales government is worth over $4 billion of additional funding for public schools here.
On the something related, because for the regional and sort of outer urban areas, work from home. I'm wondering why you both don't have some inclination to support it. Chris Minns was out there today saying how good it is for mentoring young people to get people back in the office, that you need it for team morale and productivity. Why did you dump it?
Well, Kieran, our policy applied to public servants in Canberra. The Prime Minister wanted people to believe that it was applying across the economy, and
Yeah, that was a pretty good move by Labor.
Yeah.
Never the policy at all.
Medicare
what we've
2.0.
said is that if there is an arrangement that you've got in your workplace, your boss, and you can work from home or whatever the flexible arrangements are, that's fantastic. That's a decision between you and your employer.
Oh yeah, the Liberal Party would like that. They'd love that.
Why?
Yeah, you came to an agreement with your employer.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't get unions involved.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just
of
had a
course.
nice, decent conversation with your employer, and you
Yeah,
realise
yeah.
you're both valued.
We also have no bargaining power. So good luck in those negotiations.
So essentially, what happened is you went to your employer and you begged, and you came out good.
Canberra was that
You tried, and that's the Aussie way.
Make sure that taxpayers who are working hard, providing their taxes to the Commonwealth Government, that money is being spent in the most efficient way. The government's increased the public service in Canberra by about 20%, and we want to make sure that we have flexible arrangements in place. That's fine, and we've made that clear. Hopefully that stops the lies from being told.
Just quickly, just very quickly, if you can. Chris Minns is on board. Why not you?
Well, Peter hasn't been able to stand up for his own policy, so I don't know how
Yeah.
he'll stand up for Australia.
Whoa, shots fired.
It's a really important component in modern families. I was in Wallen just...
Dude, pause
the
it.
day before yesterday.
Here's my policy. Only work from home. Take that to the bank.
Or
Damn,
Miss
the
Love for you,
Miss Love
just
employment method.
Miss Love's employment. The other day he asked me, he's like, "Is there a way that I can make money without working?"
As if I said that.
When we were walking in Zetland Mall,
That's not true.
you were like,
So
There
good.
is fake.
It's
This
such
is, this is typical Labor. This is socialist. Have you just answer me true or false? Have you attended a socialist meeting in a university recently? A socialist meeting? Is that?
"I'm the socialist, and you're the one that wants to get money for nothing."
Look. You just can't trust the information
And you know
coming
what
from
my
this man.
answer
You
was,
can't
Jordan?
trust the information coming from
You know
this
what
man.
I said, Jordan? I was like, "You're pretty close to it already."
Look, this is what happens when we let Trotskyites into our country, right? This is what happens.
I'm asking a simple question about passive income.
Yeah, that's right. It's about using you're making your money work smarter for you, okay? It's not communism.
All right, play.
Which is a similar distance from Tamor, but
Tamor.
outside of Melbourne. That family, 4 days, an IT consultant goes into the office on a Friday, and the mum stays at home on the Friday. She's a TAFE teacher. She works for the public sector.
Good on her.
And the truth is that
Boo.
public sector work conditions often then flow through to the private sector. And the truth is as well that every public servant isn't in Canberra. They're all around Australia, helping people in Centrelink offices around here, helping people with assistance.
See your face? You
was
have
a
to see,
dig.
dude.
That
That
was a
woman.
dig. That was a
woman.
dig.
As soon as he mentioned Centrelink, this like 8-year-old woman was like, "Here we go again."
But that was also,
So
also that
good.
dig. He goes, helping out Centrelink people around here. It's like he's right.
Oh,
But continue.
my employment.
One quick question and a quick answer from both, if we can, before you close.
Damn, he's got to hold his glasses together.
Quickly, Winston. Thanks, Winston.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. I'm just
Is
wondering why
autism curable?
tax cuts that you have proposed, why are they for everyone and not just targeted for better cost of living towards those who need it more?
Yeah, nice question. Quick answers, please.
Thanks very much.
Make sure you hold on to your glasses.
Very clearly, there were tax cuts legislated under the former government. They went primarily, I would have got $9,000, so would Peter. Instead, we got 4.5, and we gave it to everyone by lowering that bottom marginal tax rate. Now, what we've done is we'll lower it by a cent and then a further cent over the next term of government, because we wanted to make sure that every Australian got
Yeah.
a tax cut, and the way that you make sure that low and middle income earners benefit is to target that first marginal tax rate that kicks in, of course, at $18,200 and goes up to $45,000.
Let's wrap up if we can. We're going to get the final statements in a moment. Just a couple of quick answers, if I can, quickly, just to rule out no
Pause it.
healthcare, because that's what's
It'd be really funny if just like Alba was just like, trying something different tonight. My closing statement will be made by my associate representative. Please come out. And it's just Spaniard in a suit. It's like, yo, yous are all fucking losers. Like, he just
yeah.
Dude, again,
You're expecting these guys to solve your problems? They've got their own problems, cuz.
Mate, this is
Everyone
how
has problems now.
you want your problem solved. You take off your shirt, you wrap it around one of your feet. That way you don't get stabbed. That's half your problem solved.
yeah. Sign up to my YouTube channel, but seriously, for real, Spaniard eats cuts.
Or eat really expensive things and say that they're not as good, so it seemed relatable. But
Like, yous
actually,
are all-
I'm enjoying it.
These are all losers. Like, straight up, what are you doing here? Like,
And
this
also,
is-
nobody asked like the big issues out here, which is because there is no frangos out in Liverpool, lad. For real, you have to travel 40 minutes. Your burger is going to be cold, and none of you seem to care. You just need to get your priorities.
yeah.
My second priority is
Transsexuals. What
that
about
if you
the
go to jail once, you have to carry around all your receipts. Now, that's all well and good when you're dirt poor. But when you become rich like me, how many pockets do you really have?
Yeah, yeah.
In closing-
especially if you're wearing these footy shorts.
In closing, you
Actually, I
suck.
do have a lot of pockets.
That'd be funny. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that would be sick. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And then fucking
And then
Peter Dutton brings
says-
Clive Palmer. It's like,
Peter Dutton brings it out.
Just both of them
I've also
constantly
got
in
someone
front
to
of
do
my...
my closing statement.
it's been like, we need high speed rail now from Sydney to Perth to Alice Springs to Darwin and then Tassie and then in the other way as well, like that Nordic Star through the whole country. Now,
And then he
right
gets
now.
a
We should
heckle
have it now.
like-
We don't have it now. Well, you fucked it. The country's done. Kill
Clive, it
yourselves.
wouldn't be that fast if you're on it, mate.
yeah.
Also, it's so weird.
No, just make it bigger.
Anyway,
And it's shaped like a dinosaur.
yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
All these urgent care clinics, no one putting up the urgent clothing stores for fat guys. There's not enough Johnny Biggs in the Liverpool
For big
paramedics.
men too.
And we didn't know
What about the
John.
hefty gentlemen?
It's urgent.
Highways for the hefty gentlemen.
Dinosaurs have been extinct for millions of years.
Yeah.
No one,
And no one cares about bringing them
cares about it, so we need urgently put up more T-Rex.
At the very least, put up some more displays. Put up more T-Rex displays. Replace the coat of arms kangaroo with a T-Rex.
You know this, right, Riz?
What?
Apparently Clive Palmer bought a hotel in Queensland. I can't remember where it was, but where the reception was. We met the guy who worked at the reception of the hotel. He put up a massive T-Rex dinosaur there, and every 2 minutes, the dinosaur would move. But because the dinosaur's massive tail was at the reception, he says every 5 minutes I have to duck. Otherwise the tail is going
Hits
to
him in the
take-
head.
And he's like, no one can move it because Clive loves it.
Oh, boys.
Well, that's not
speaking
too
of,
bad.
speaking of, after this, you got to whack on YouTube. You have to see 2's newest movie. I reckon it's going to be better than Mortal
Okay.
Kombat. It's
Oh,
going to
really?
be
Okay, we'll
way
do that,
better than
we'll do
Mortal Kombat.
Sick.
No cuts, and we'll legislate it. We've been very clear about it.
And under the alliance, the AUKUS, you're going to crack on with that regardless of the mayhem
Crack
of
on.
Washington. You believe it stacks up, and you've got
Absolutely.
internal critics as well.
Absolutely. I have never said that we should link our defence arrangements, which are in our national interest, with the tariff issue.
And you won't make any changes to work from home
No,
at all next
no,
term.
and we've been very clear about it.
Wait, can you pause this?
God, isn't it weird the rapid fire questions of all right, defence for the next 50 years, and working from home?
What? How about working from home in defence? What about that? Putting it together. Well, you can't work from home if you're in a submarine. Well, that's what you say. I mean,
yeah. What Peter doesn't understand is there's a little thing called Zoom.
Skype.
Yeah, Skype. They're all online, mate.
yeah.
Wait, what was I going to ask you?
Rapid fire questions.
Jordan, don't, that,
What do you think about trade tariffs? Trade tariffs and childcare clinics. What do you think about that? What? Go.
wait,
It's a good way of just getting them to answer the question really quickly.
Yeah, but like one of them was extremely consequential, and the other one was not at all.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Well, I've got a question. Do you think that Peter Dutton's like thing of like bringing defense into it was the biggest own goal of the season?
For what?
You know how Peter Dutton wanted to be tough on Trump because everyone was saying that you've got to be tough on Trump. Yeah, and then he came out and he's like, Trump's put up tariffs. It's a bad day for Australia, and we're going to put the defense contracts up for negotiation.
Really?
Yeah, he said that, but that was like a stupid thing to say.
Jesus, he surely was just talking on the fly.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not.
Dude,
know
that
he
was
did
the
that.
biggest own goal of this election
Huge.
season.
Wow.
John Howard refused to believe it when the ABC guy told him that Peter Dutton said there's like, Peter Dutton did not say this. And I was
He
like,
must
no,
have
he
just
did.
been talking out of his head. Like he just said something
dude.
extemporaneous.
He-
I'll give him leeway for that. There is no way.
I'm telling you what
sincerely said
happened.
that.
His aides came to him and he said, Trump is screwing with your elections. If you don't act on Trump, you're going to lose this. And he just said that.
Dude. This guy's done like 5 Hail Mary passes
Yeah.
since the campaign began.
Far out.
And then the one true Hail Mary pass that he did knocked out a cameraman and split his head open.
The only thing he's right about is, like, as in for the lobbyists, is Israel. He seems to be pretty steadfast.
He's hitting
on
all the
that.
right notes on that.
Yeah, just that though.
That's it.
If he was running for office in Israel, he'd win in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. Don't you reckon? He would probably beat Bibi. Don't
Yeah,
you think?
dude, because they'd be like, "Oh, a scarier dude." Yeah, hell yeah,
hell yeah.
Well, finally, on The Voice, you won't legislate The Voice after losing the referendum?
No, we respect the decision.
What?
And the Greens, you'll take their votes, won't do deals? Is that a fair way to...
There'll be no deals with the Greens by me after the election.
This should be good.
And I'm aiming for majority government. We hold 78 seats. I'm aiming to hold every one of them.
I'm assuming no deal with the Greens for you. So, no. Let's wrap up with some closing statements. Prime Minister, thanks to you.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your questions and for the way that we've engaged together tonight. I think the People's Forum is a really important part of the Australian political landscape now here in Australia. And it's great.
People in the barest sense, there's like 50 people there.
Yeah.
It's so... How much more
53.
POV is Australian politics than American?
Yeah, it's good. I like the povness.
You like the POVness?
Yeah. It's not supposed to... Yeah, I like the povness. Yeah.
Look, honestly, when he announced... I don't know if you were there, Ali. I think I was with myself. But when he announced the election, did you see that footage?
No.
So he walks into the Governor-General's mansion. He drives up in not that great of a car. There's like a Jeep behind him. Maybe there's some defense personnel in there. I don't know. He just very unceremoniously drives up. There's like 3 or 4 cameramen there. He just goes, walks in. 2 minutes later, he walks out. I was like, and they're just like, yeah, and that's the election call. Like, what the hell
That's
is
sick.
this?
That's sick.
Do you like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the guys with the Marge Simpson hats?
No. Keep them...
There has to be something to it.
No, keep them honest. I reckon that's great.
The
They should be
sorting hat or- No.
it should be pover than the general public.
Really?
I like it.
I hate the povness.
I like
I
it.
want the pomp. Give me the
Nah.
pomp.
Pomp.
But you don't. You, come on. You liked the English, and they've got the red suitcase.
Yeah,
taken out only for the budget.
Yeah, but that's not us. You know.
But it should be us.
No.
I hate how we have none of that tradition.
No, keep it pov. You know, if you want showiness, watch the footy.
What NRL?
No, AFL, NRL, whatever your game is.
Well, don't watch Union if you want that.
What's wrong with Union?
It's not as entertaining.
Oh,
really?
Compared to what?
Boxing.
NRL and AFL. Dude,
Yeah.
NRL is just
He's
like
right. It's
gladiators in a ring, just beating each other up. AFL is like, I'm going to jump over as many people to catch this. Both of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, fair enough.
NRL is a great sport, isn't it? It's just so ape. It's
a
watching
dumb
Planet of the
sport.
Apes.
It's a dumb
just a
sport.
bunch of guys beating the shit out of each other to get a ball over a line. That's
Yeah.
You can't. Who could hate that?
A lot of people.
Yeah, I suppose right. It is dying. It's only those.
All right,
proud
play. We're
Down
running
syndrome
out of
members in
time.
the suburbs.
The first debate that's been held. But Peter said
Peter.
there'd be no cuts to health. But they said that last time when they came into office in 2013. They said there'd be no cuts to health, no cuts to education, no cuts to the ABC, And the truth is that they ripped into education, they ripped into health, they cut the ABC, and they did everything that they said they would not do.
Oh.
Now, if you have a $600 billion nuclear plan, you've got to make cuts. The money has to come from somewhere. We have been a responsible government that have delivered budget services that have got the budget in better nick. We've provided cost of living support when it's needed whilst getting inflation down. But there's more to do, to build on the foundations, to build a stronger future. And I know that in this uncertain time, with what's going on in the world, now's not the time to make cuts, to have the sort of policies that we've seen in
Say
the
the
last
line.
week, where they've chopped and changed even before the election. So how can you believe what they do after the election?
Prime Minister, thank you.
Oh, he should have said it. Man, Albo had the most killer line that I can remember in my entire life. Did you hear his line where he just comes out and he says, it's a very simple choice. We want people's wages to go up and your taxes to go down. Dutton wants your taxes to go up and your wages to go down.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah, but
Isn't that
that's
a
going to
great
trigger
line?
Dutton. He's like, this
Oh, it's
is
not
exactly
entirely
that's why I'm trying to. The Prime Minister's being extremely dishonest in this entire campaign.
Yeah, but he's got his closing statement. He could do that. And this just sounds weak as. He's like, well, it's not connected.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kieran. And thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Anthony, for being here as well. I said before that it was confronting to see the hands go up with people who are struggling at the moment. And when the Prime Minister says that this has been a successful 3-year period, it's just in defiance of the reality of people's lives and where we are as a country right now. We face incredibly difficult times, not just because of what's coming out of the United States at the moment and the tariff debate with China and whatever the retaliation might be from other countries as well. A coalition government will always be a better economic manager. We will always manage the economy well, which means that we can deal with the cost of living crisis more effectively. That is about helping families. It is about making sure that we don't see a repeat of the 30,000 small businesses that have gone to the wall over the last 3 years. The Prime Minister spent the first 16 months of this term obsessing about The Voice, which was a $425 million red herring that proved to be a distraction, an attempt to divide the country. And when that debate was taking place, the Prime Minister should have been making decisions around how best to protect us from inflation that was obvious off the back of COVID. I want to make sure that we can restore the dream of home ownership. I want to make sure that we can deliver a first-class health system. I want to make sure that we can live in a safe country.
Hell
The
yeah.
Prime Minister says that we live in the most precarious period since the end of the Second World War, since 1945, and then takes $80 billion out of defence. I want to keep us safe as a community, safe as a country, and I want to make sure that we can help families deal with Labor's cost of living crisis. We don't need a Labor Greens minority government after the election, given the headwinds that we're seeing at the moment. The Treasurer today was in panic mode, talking about the prospect of a recession next month, which is a disaster for our economy, and it shows that Labor just doesn't know how to manage money or the economy.
Mr. Dutton, thank you. Mr. Albanese, thank you both for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you to everyone here at Wenny Leagues and to you at home watching the first debate of campaign 2025.
You're welcome.
Thank you all. And now it's back to Sharry Markson.
Hell yeah, straight to Shari.
We did our bit. Now it's your turn.
It's an RSL.
Look at it.
All
It's sparse, man.
Pass me the keyboard.
I am in that exact type of room for my Sydney shows.
Yeah.
And man, if I had that many people going to my shows, I'd be like, well, it's time to hang myself.
Yeah.
And these are like the leaders of the future.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
So, what were your final thoughts on these so-called leaders?
I have a
Clamps?
thought. Where's Clive?
Where's Clive? Where's Clive? And would you add this to it? Get Clive in. We don't need Tweedledum or Tweedledee.
And also, I'd add this. Where's, the guy that made peanut butter and stuff? What's his name? Dick Smith. Where's he?
Yeah, where's Dick? Where is Dick?
Seriously, where is Dick?
Is he dead?
I think he was like so sad about the growing population, he killed himself.
No,
I would be surprised, honestly.
So what do you think, Miss?
What do I think?
Voice of the common people. Who first of all, who won?
Look, they're both very good at
Sincere.
just sort of, like you said, obvious. Like they can both hold down an argument and speak, they'd both do their job well. So I think that like the public would just, I don't think it would
Yeah, but what are you saying?
that wouldn't change anyone's opinion prior to at
You
all.
reckon? Because I
Never
thought
does.
Albo did pretty well.
I think he did well, but
Comparatively.
like, yeah, he did well, but like, I needed to pause it every time
I
he
think there
spoke.
was a lot
what
of
did he
old
say?
boomer men that were like looking at Albo's like, no matter what you do, Matt, you're not getting my vote. And then there was a lot of old white ladies thinking, maybe Albo is the right guy.
Which is exactly what they were thinking before they walked in.
Yeah, nothing. I don't think opinions have changed. I think Albo did better for sure, but it's because you have to like decode what they say. It's like, so what's he saying then? You have to like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think Albo did better. Albo is seems like he's more honest and frank, doesn't he? Don't you think?
And dude, ever since he's gained a bit of weight again, I think he's gonna do it. Fat Albo is the way to go.
Don't you think that his closing statement should have been him pounding a schooner?
Yeah, that would have been sweet.
No, just pounding Dutton.
Obviously, just like Enos Landslide. Oh, pounding the shit out of Dutton. The
Yeah,
problem
but those
is,
moments
I
have to
reckon
be
Dutton
hoisted.
would wreck him.
Dutton would be like, "Mate, you can
So
punch
come
my
to this
face,
show."
but all you're gonna hurt is your hand."
Yeah. Then headbutts him.
I'll show
And
you
then
what
it's like-
nuclear.
Now for my finishing move, and then kicks a footy in his head.
No apologies, and walks away. What was that about? Why couldn't he apologize?
Because he wanted to appear tough.
Oh, is that what?
No, I just don't think that he thought that.
He
I
made
thought that
a
he just went,
journal-
got him, and then he went, you right? And you don't think, oh, sorry.
Oh, he never said you're right. He's like, "Oh, gotcha."
Yeah, but I'm sure afterwards he
But
walked
the
up
guy
to him
was
and said, "You okay?"
crying in pain, and there were 4 people looking after.
And he
then
was
it like,
standing in the back
Oh
going,
yeah, I
"Oh."
did get you, mate. I got him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
That poor cameraman.
I think
people like the Dut plug.
Huh?
They're calling Dutton the Dut plug.
Yes.
Yes, people do like calling him the Dud plug.
Do they?
Yes. Very rude and disrespectful.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think Albert did well. I mean, don't you think people's opinions, they almost never do change? It's like people sort of decide.
On the day. Not on the day.
Or years ago.
Yeah. People's opinions never change.
You know, they never
Yeah, I think
change.
people's
Look, I will
opinions-
say this, though. Honestly,
Just
you know what
demographics.
has changed?
People's opinions have been the same since the fall of Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
There's people, but don't you think also that there is a bunch of people that just are not as into politics as we are, and they might generally just move.
You're putting me into.
Absolutely.
You're putting me into that?
Chief editor.
Oh, fair.
Chief
Okay.
editor.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Chief
I'm
Wiggum
telling you,
editor.
man, the thing is that's incredible about Misov is he was able to school university lecturers on politics.
Ali
That's
just
a
does.
fact.
I mean,
I wasn't there to see it.
Put it this way: the course wasn't the most. It wasn't the most high end, I would say. You know, like.
But I mean, it was at UNSW. It's not some backwater like.
Yeah, but it was like,
dare
what's
I
your
say,
favorite
Macquarie.
musical? Hamilton.
No, it wasn't like that. But it was like, you know, it wasn't. Put it this way: whatever passes for political science these days is severely slid down.
And
Yeah.
there's very little science in that political science.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the slide was me there waiting, going,
So, okay,
that's
so Jordan,
Chris
what-
Minch. Now, give
Yeah.
me my degree.
Yeah, you deserved it.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think about the debate?
Look, I honestly stand by what I was saying before. Unless you are me or Ali, that debate is pretty damn inaccessible.
Yeah.
That
But I
debate
like that
is-
it is in a way. I mean, I like it should be. I mean, I think lying is not a good thing, but it's better than an American thing where it's just like, you'd be in jail. Like, that's fucked.
But dude, like, admit it.
Yeah,
it was
but-
mad when it happened.
It was entertaining, but like this, we can't
'Cause you'd
conflate
be in jail. That's the
entertainment
biggest
with.
mic drop moment
Come
of all
on,
time.
come on.
It's not supposed to be entertaining.
Eating the dough.
Yeah, it was entertaining, but that's a slippery slope, isn't it?
It is, but it just shows that I fully understand watching that now.
I enjoyed it.
Why the average person is not into politics.
Yeah, but-
I get it. It's so inaccessible.
I get it,
You have
but
to make it your life to sit there and say,
Yes.
okay, what do they mean by a frontier report? What do they mean
Yeah.
by AEMO?
Yeah, but
What do they mean by bulk billing?
Yeah, they mean bulk billing. Don't you think? Don't you think
They
even bulk
mean
billing is
bulking
just
up,
like
bulking
huh?
up.
It just means you pay all your bills
Being
together.
free or not?
Yeah, but what's your solution?
Oh.
It's been like, make it really dumb and predatory.
Yes.
Well, that's dumb.
Jordan, I think
Yes.
No.
That's it
yeah.
probably is dumb, but
It is dumb.
It's just like
Jordan, I think what you're advocating for is like they should just talk about there's men and women's sports now, guys.
That's what
What
you
is
want.
that about?
That's what you want.
That's what you want.
kind of do.
Well, that's just because you watch it all day and you want to be entertained, but that's not good for a country.
Yeah, you're probably right. But is this good for a country? Just
Yes.
nobody watching it and no one caring?
I think so.
Why is that good?
If you say that, you don't have a country. You know what you have?
Because you know why it's good?
A cunt.
Yeah, you have a cunt. That's true. You have two cunts.
You know why it's good? Well, actually, everyone votes.
Two cunts in the bush is worth one country.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I still think it's a better alternative than making it wrestling. Literally wrestling, you know? I still think it's better.
Yeah, it's just
It's
like...
the nature of the
Dude,
beast. It's
there's
boring.
this British researcher, and she, sorry, as a side note, she claims that, unlike the movie The Apprentice, that Donald Trump learned
Did you
most
watch it?
of his... Yeah, I did.
Did you
watch
like it?
I loved it.
Yeah, I told you would.
Side note, she was saying that Donald Trump learned most of his showmanship not from The Apprentice, but from WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
He got a crash course by Vince McMahon. And he was like, so what he was doing on debates is exactly what you do in wrestling.
Yes.
I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Man, you got to tell me about this.
Oh, dude, you got to check this lady out. She not only has she done research on Trump, but she's done a lot of deep dive research on all these loonies that are around Trump.
Okay, well,
I'll show you.
what's
She
her
was
name?
on Ezra Klein's podcast. I can't remember her name, but just look up latest Ezra Klein podcast, and she's a British female researcher she's an anthropologist, and she did a Zoom thing with him.
I like that there's just facts and figures. It's how it should be. Don't you agree?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
It is how it should be, but it's just like, honestly, it's... I don't know. Again, you have to be Ali or me to understand what they're saying.
Too bad. That's price of admission.
But it's just like that price is never going to be paid. Ever.
Yeah, it's a real...
So what?
It's a real niche thing. It's like saying... You know what that more or less was? It was just like... grandfather clocks on Danos Direct TV. Now, this is a 12th century King Charles.
This is this is what I'll say. Much like for the metaphor of like Trump's tariffs or like the changing global order or the changing culture of a country, once you let go of something like that, it's really hard to get it back. So if you start dumbing shit down, it's never going to go back.
Again,
it's never going
like
back.
always, Miss Love is right. You're wrong.
But hang on. It is. Yeah, look, I have to accept this about life. It's true. He is always right.
That's right.
Miss Love should Miss Love was right about everything.
Oh man, we got to make that hat. Miss Love was right about
that
everything.
would sell.
That would sell. Make it for the pod. Make it a pod official.
You're gonna make it? Oh, that would
Miss
be
Love was right about
hilarious.
everything, and it should be a hat that has those two straws on either side.
Beer drinking hat.
All right, everyone at home, thank you for joining us. I don't know whether this podcast can go out on YouTube because of copyrighted stuff, but you guys at home watched it, so you might be the only ones that get to watch this. Next week, we'll come back with the normal episode and no reaction, so stay tuned for that. And we'll see you guys next week.